Welcome to Comic and Screen. My name is Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book. And in this video, we wanted to just have a conversation about some of the comic book movies that we are looking forward to, including some movies that are not DC related. So if you follow me on social media or on this channel, you know I'm very huge DC fan, but I enjoy other comic book related media as well. So there's several movies coming up, and we've gotten some trailers on some, and just some excitement building for some of them. So we wanted to talk about a few of those that are coming up. So Doctor Strange is coming, this week, and then we saw some footage for Logan coming up next year. We have a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 teaser kind of footage that was released, and then of course we have the big Justice League coming next year. So we're going to just kind of give our thoughts and anticipations for all of those. So let's start with the one that's right around the corner this week, Doctor Strange. How are you feeling about Doctor Strange right now, Jason?
Well, I think it's got potential to be good, but I don't know if it's going to be a huge success or an amazing movie. Just for the fact that, first of all, Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor, and so are the other people that have been cast in the movie. It sounds like it's got a great cast, but it's kind of a gamble style-wise, tone-wise for Marvel to do, even as much so as that, like, the visual effects, when I see the scenes of the buildings being morphed into things and whatnot, it really reminds me of Inception. And then you also have the scenes where it shows him going to train with the Ancient One, etc., really reminding me of how they dealt with Batman going to, that part of the world for his training. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're close enough that it's going to really permeate the entire movie. But, sometimes the trailer does really make you kind of think this is what the movie's going to be like. I think we'll be pleasantly surprised once we see it because it's a movie about magic. So I'm sure there's going to be tons of special effects and things they're saving for the movie. But to me, it'll be really good if they can kind of distance it's from, the tone and things from the trailer and make it its own thing. It's got potential, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
hmm Yeah, I agree with you. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go see it, but I don't have really the highest expectations for it. I think in terms of, box office success, I think this one could be sort of like those moderate hits for Marvel that keeps it pretty profitable, but it's not, I don't think, going to maybe be a runaway hit.
Yeah.
And for some of the reasons you said, like, I think it has a risk of seeming like it's derivative of some things that already exist, like you mentioned. And I think that it might have a tough challenge of fitting in the Marvel universe, and Marvel has a tone and a kind of style and sometimes even a formula that works really well for Marvel, and people really dig it.
Yeah.
But Doctor Strange is also bringing in some new elements and maybe a different style, and so it has this challenge of how does it keep the Marvel style and tone and fit with the Marvel universe while also doing something new. That's a pretty hard thing to balance.
Yeah, I would agree because it's, like, as you said, different in tone, and it's also not the first one of these kind of movies, or sorry, it is the first one of these kind of movies to do it. It's its first real magic superhero movie that you could even think of for any company. So, yeah, hopefully it's decent, and I'm holding out some hope for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out, and I'm gonna be curious about, they have the magical elements, so they have it looks like a cool visual style to those elements, but I'm also wondering how they're gonna handle the humor, and if they're gonna go kind of magical, mystical, and that means they're gonna kind of treat that seriously, or are they gonna also have a little bit of the humor to go along with the magic? And I think that can be risky because if you bring humor in along with magic, then magic itself can seem kind of silly or kind of childish.
Right.
Like, to me, you need to have a little bit of seriousness if what you're doing is literally magic. And we want to believe in the magic, and so I think it can't be too funny or cutesy about the magic.
Yeah, I would agree. They'd be smart to have it kind of be like Han Solo in Star Wars about how he feels at first about Jedi, like he doesn't believe in it, but then becomes a believer because he sees it. That aspect could work well, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do that with Stephen Strange himself, because that would make it much more believable that he starts believing in what they're doing and then discovers his abilities and things like that.
Let's push on to another one that we got some footage from, a trailer for. This is Logan. So now we're going into kind of a future with Wolverine, and we have this trailer that used Johnny Cash's version of Hurt, which was produced by Rick Rubin, which is a very cool,
Hmm.
powerful song. And
Hmm.
I thought that the song was a really good fit with, it seems like, the themes that they're going to be exploring in this movie. And I think I heard something like the director of the movie was actually maybe involved in the music video for Hurt, and so he knew that song very well.
Huh.
Um, but powerful trailer, and definitely seems like it has a strong setting to this movie, a color palette, and a cool style that seems like it might be really aligned with the subject matter that they're going to be taking on in Logan.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything you said there. First of all, I was a huge fan of the story from the comics by Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, same team that did Civil War as well. And it looks like they're going to, go in a different direction with it. But it's a good idea for a Wolverine story. It doesn't matter which superheroes or villains appear in it. And that's the beauty of it, because it just takes Wolverine going down this path of he's older and things he regrets, etc., and being pulled back into it, similar to a good mob story where guys are retired enough to come back. It's got a lot of potential. I like the scenes where they're showing Patrick Stewart look aged as well. They can really grab anyone from any of the X-Men movies, I'm pretty sure, and bring them into this at a different point in their lives. So it's got a lot of potential. The villains apparently are going to be the Reavers, which I wasn't thrilled to hear that, but then I thought, wait a minute, it's a good reason for Wolverine to be on the run and be running from these kind of bionic assassins.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I think one thing that I read is that the girl in the movie will probably be either his daughter or something like that, and has some sort of connection to the X-23 character from Marvel, which is like a female Wolverine. So it's got a lot of potential. I enjoyed the last Wolverine movie. It's the same director. I didn't love the Silver Samurai stuff at the end. Got a little bit too robotic for me, but he did cool stuff with the Japanese parts, and I think he can really nail this kind of feeling of an older Wolverine and dealing with how the tone and the color palette, like he said, and really making it something special. I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think it could really use Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart's acting chops, because I think it can really give them some more emotion to deal with than is
Yeah,
often the case in comic book movies.
definitely agree.
And I think that this could be a movie that has a really strong personal connections, like Wolverine and the girl, and Wolverine and Xavier.
Yeah.
Like this movie could really go through lots of different layers of those relationships,
Hmm.
rather than having like jam packed 20 different characters or something.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody about it, and it's probably got the potential to be the best Wolverine movie. And then when you look at it, the only thing you might be like, well, what is the Wolverine trilogy exactly? It's kind of all over the place if you're looking at it as three movies. But I don't think
Hmm.
that's kind of what they were trying to do. I think this movie would definitely stand on its own, and
Hmm.
it could be something quite different than we've seen before.
Yeah, now I'm pretty excited for this Logan movie. I feel like, maybe it's a movie that's going to try to really have some themes that it explores deeply, but I wonder how the universe, the X-Men universe with Fox, is going to handle something as serious and as deep as this Logan movie looks like it's going to be, but also with like Deadpool, which is like cracking jokes about Patrick Stewart and like, the timeline and
Yeah,
stuff, and say, oh, it's so hard to follow these things. Like they're saying that in the movie, and then there's Deadpool 2 in the works, but the director Tim Miller left
I
because of
heard that.
creative
Yeah,
differences with Reynolds. So
yeah.
it's sort of like, how are they going to handle doing a movie like Logan, but then also having the Deadpool stuff? But maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe just each movie is its own thing, and if the movie is good on its own, then it doesn't matter
Yeah,
how it
I
fits
think
with the other things in the universe.
I think you're right. I think that's what they're trying to do as well. And I think, eventually we might not see it for a long time, but they would like to get all these characters back under the Marvel, Studios banner. So we'll see one day. But for now, they're doing a pretty good job with some of those X-Men movies. I wasn't a huge fan of Apocalypse, but I really liked Days of Future Past and things like that. And Deadpool, for what it was really good. So this one, I'm holding out some good things for it.
Hmm. So we got a short little kind of teaser trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So what are your thoughts on that one coming up and what you saw in, that little tease?
Well, speaking of musical cues and stuff, I didn't love that they used that same musical cue again, because I'm a huge movie fan already, and it was already used a lot in a Tarantino movie, so I thought I'd give them a pass on the first one. But they've got it going for this again. It does work in the context of the trailer because it's a short trailer. But I liked what I saw. I like the cool little additions of different things to like the armor for Star-Lord and a lot of the kind of tone and action things they showed. But really, beyond that, they didn't show us a ton of what the movie's really going to be like. So it's really kind of like a sizzle reel for a Comic Con kind of thing, and that's what it reminded me of.
Hmm. Yeah, to be honest, it didn't do a lot for me.
Mm.
Like basically what it did for me was it said, "Oh, there's another Guardians of the Galaxy movie coming out. Like here's the characters. They're
Yeah,
in kind of their space setting, and a lot of it was just sort of like, okay, that's Guardians of the Galaxy again. Like
yeah,
it didn't give me a taste of anything new and exciting that was going to be there. It had the little baby Groot, so
yeah.
obviously that's like the shot that a lot of people are talking about. Is like, oh, cute little Groot now, like on Raccoon's shoulder.
Right.
So that was one little thing, but and Groot is definitely a character that has resonated with a lot of people.
Yes.
Um, but for me, it's basically what I knew before, which is that another Guardians movie is coming, and so now here there's another Guardians movie. So to be honest, it didn't really raise my excitement level that much. And
Yeah.
for me, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't really love it, and so
Mm.
so far that's kind of my same impression or expectations for the next one.
Yeah, I'll definitely wait and see when they release a proper trailer. But I'm with you on a lot of that. It did. The humor was kind of funny at the end of it and things like that between Star Lord and the Batista guy. But
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see what they do with it. It's kind of just a little less for now than I think I would expect them to show. But for what it is, it does. You're right. It does kind of look like more of the same.
All right, and then just because we have to get a little bit of DC in here, just because I'm such a huge fan of it, so we do have Wonder Woman's coming up, but the one we were going to talk about was Justice League. So where do you stand right now on your anticipation for Justice League?
My anticipation for Justice League is pretty huge. I'm still expecting a lot. You've talked to great lengths on your show and our videos about Batman versus Superman, and it's still decent for me to watch. I actually watched it again recently, and it held up pretty good. It's still not the movie that I totally wanted to kind of get the DC universe going again, but it's out there. So I think they've got a lot of potential here with Justice League to kind of dial it back and explore the characters between each other a little bit more, the interactions, the forming of the team, build up the mythology of the Justice League within the movie itself. So that way, when we get them all together, it's going to be something exciting. And I think that Snyder realizes that, and I think that's what he's working towards. And whether you see things like a glimpse of Mira in a still, how the character looks and the costume design, it looks like they're making the right choices and they're heading in the right direction.
Hmm. Yeah, I liked the costume design for Mira. I thought that's cool that they're going to introduce her here because that'll give a little bit of fleshing out Aquaman for Justice
Mm-hmm.
League, and then it also sets up Mira to be in the Aquaman movie with James Wan directing
Right.
later. So I was excited about that, and yeah, I'm very excited for the movie overall. And like you said, to see the interactions between the Justice League members, I think will be very cool. Because
Mm-hmm.
Batman v Superman, I love that movie, and yeah, obviously I go on for hours and hours about all the things I like about that movie. But Batman v Superman was not built around interactions between Batman and Superman. For almost all of the movie, they were separate and they were not actually on the same page or they were not understanding the other person's perspective.
Right.
And so it was really only the Doomsday fight that you had them interacting, and they were only interacting to try to take him out.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman and Superman kind of fighting together. But in Justice League, we can have a movie where we really will get to see Diana and Bruce interacting a lot because they're going to be these leaders kind of trying to put the team together.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of the movie is literally going to be them interacting with each other, Bruce trying to recruit them, and then them coming together and forming a team. So
Mm-hmm.
if people are excited for the heroes interacting with one another, then Justice League is going to be your movie, not Batman v Superman.
Yeah, exactly. So it's got a lot of potential for that, and I hope they do play up that when you throw all these characters together in a room, similar to how they did it in Avengers. It's not going to be that they're getting along, like that. Some of the interesting parts will be the conflict or who's got the bigger muscles in the room, literally and
Hmm.
figuratively, right? And like maybe
Hmm.
Wonder Woman is the person that really throws the hammer down on, like, they'll follow her until Superman comes back. So and that's another aspect of it too, because we don't know what they're going to do with Superman yet. That's another wrinkle thrown into the mix, so could make it something different than we've seen before.
Yeah, and one thing that's cool is the behind the scenes stuff that they released where it does seem like the cast is really bonded and they have,
Yeah,
looked like they were having a good time on set, and so I think that speaks well.
it's cool.
You can always just kind of feel it when the cast gelled together and that can get some chemistry going.
Yeah, it's got potential, right? And we got to wait a while still for it, but not that long, right?
Right. Nope. And we got lots of comic book movies to keep us entertained until then. So, all right, lots of good stuff to look forward to. Thanks for talking with me about it.
Hey, anytime.